And we're live, March 29th, 2026, Ohio Cannabis Live. Welcome back to another live episode where I have a great show lined up for you guys. I am interviewing Mike Smith, who is running for state representative in Ohio. So we'll get more information about his process, who he is here in a little bit. Obviously, I'm also going to do some updates on cannabis policy, things going on in the state of Ohio when it comes to cannabis. There's also been a lot of movement, obviously, nationally. There's a lot going on politically in our world. And so just want to obviously level set. Ohio Cannabis Report is an independent channel. We are just sharing news. This is my opinion, my thoughts. And so we are not lawyers. We are not doctors. We are not telling you anything for healthcare benefits. This is just simply our opinion and our thoughts. And so it looks like Mike is in the room, and so I'm going to bring him in. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Oh, can't hear you. Let me see.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. I'm showing the green dots on my side.
One, two, three.
I see green.
All right, there we go.
Got it.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to Ohio Cannabis Report, Mike.
Thanks for having me, man. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. I was at the No Kings rally. I hit 3 of them up yesterday, so lost a little bit of my voice.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and start off the show, man, because I appreciate one. We'll go ahead and promo the event. April 4th, we have the Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum and discussion panel. And Mike has been gracious enough to be one of our social equity sponsors. So I definitely want to shout him out. I appreciate his support. Me and Mike met a while back at the State House, I believe, and we've crossed paths a few times doing cannabis advocacy work. And so when he said that he was running for state representative, obviously I've supported him in his initiatives. I thought he had great ideas. So with no further ado, Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and what you're doing.
All right. So Mike Smith, I am a candidate for Ohio House of Representatives, District 5, which is Central Ohio. It's the Reynoldsburg, Canal, Winchester, Groveport, Obetz area. Mm-hmm. And I'm running in, really, I've never wanted to be a politician in my life. But the last 2 years at the State House, the level of, I guess, corruption and shenanigans that I've seen up there, I only thought existed in movies. I didn't really think this stuff happened in real life. Mm-hmm. And our system is broken. Our two-party system is broken. We need more candidates to step up. They've been failing for the last 30 years. Some people could say for forever on actually sticking up for the will of the voters, because it's always the party first, the donor second, and then maybe if there's time, we'll worry about the voters. So that's why I decided to run as an independent candidate, to try to bring some change in there, try to bring a voice of someone who's actually going to stand up for the will of the people and not sell it out when it truly matters. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm running. But on your event, also the other thing, I saw you running the event, and I was like, this is a good subject. We should be talking about this, because it's one of the main reasons all of us were up there screaming about Senate Bill 56 is because it stripped away social equity and it stripped away market access for all Ohioans, pretty much, mm-hmm. unless you're super rich. Right. And when you said I was the first social equity sponsor, I was like, why am I the first social equity sponsor? Like, we need more people that should be putting money into these things and having these real conversations. So,
for sure.
But yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was, for me, I feel like, and I was telling Kinsey one of the interviews I did previously, and I'm not from Ohio. I always make this known because I know there's a lot of people that are, born and bred here. And there's a type of like just world that people have grown up here, right? Like you said, like the politics has been bad for a long time. Well, I'm 36, you know what I mean? So that's been most of my life. And so when you move to a place like Ohio and you see, for me, you see the booming economics when it comes to the tech sector. You see the booming economics when it comes to healthcare. You see what some of these suburbs look like, but then you look at the bottom 80% of people, and it's like, it don't look too good for a lot of people. But then we have this politics that leans towards a certain way. We have the discrimination, the like you said, lack of support for social equity. And so for me, it was like, well, we just started, obviously we've been fighting for cannabis for a long time, but it just became legal in the state of Ohio, right? We've only had medicinal for 6 years. And then we were in COVID, and then medicinal became an essential service, right? So we went from it being illegal to now we have a limited, license medicinal, and now it's an essential service, but nobody's talking about it, right? We're still, afraid to talk about it publicly, in I guess the social media sphere, and everybody has jobs, so people are very protective of their jobs and careers and families. So let us know why cannabis has been something that you've decided to run on and advocate for in that community for the last few years.
So I've always been a cannabis user. So I grew up very, very poor. Like, I remember as a kid, we used to go camping a lot. But as I got older, I realized we would go camping when we were homeless.
Where are you from?
So I've lived a lot of states, but the majority of my life is Northwest Ohio. Defiance, Ohio is actually where I'm from. So it's a pretty rural area up there.
Okay.
And so grew up super poor. I was thrown out of my house when I was 16. And luckily there was a lady up in Defiance. Her name was Debbie, and she took in a lot of us. Believe it or not, there's a whole community of us kind of like homeless kids up in that area. And, so, I really kind of grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood, Hispanic household.
Okay.
And, always use cannabis. I think in essence, when you're a 16-year-old without a home or a job, it's the one thing that you could do back in those days and maintain a living and stay alive. But, as I grew up, I went into technology. I've always been a cannabis user. My adult son, he has Crohn's, and it has done wonders for him. So when issue 2 passed, I was like, okay, I started growing. I can give him product. I can give everything else. And then that was one of the first things they tried to take was the ability. And they took away the ability to gift still, but for the most part. But yeah, you're telling me as a father, I can't deliver something to my son for medicine?
Right.
Like, no, I'm not accepting that. And so that's kind of what got me into it. And going up to the state house as a father to advocate of, this is bullshit. Why are you guys doing this? And then that's when I started to see why they were doing it. And, a couple figures about Ohio. So we're number 1 in infrastructure, right, in the country. Number 2 for cost of doing business, and number 5 for overall business climate, right? So we are a business-friendly state. We are, number 38 in social equity, 41 in women's overall equity, and 35 in K through 12 education, because our politicians are corporate servants and not public servants, and that's the problem that we have here in Ohio. We all work, and they do everything for business. And you brought up the tech sector. Funny enough, a large portion of the tech sector does not pay state taxes.
Why is that?
Okay, so Ohio has no corporate tax rate. Most people don't realize that. We don't. We use something that's called a CAT tax, which is a commercial activity tax. And so that's one of the things we need to remove. And how that works is every receipt for a product sold in Ohio, it goes into your gross receipts, and they calculate tax based on those gross receipts and not revenue. And so groceries are factored in there. So we need to remove groceries from that because people can't afford to eat right now with everything else going on.
And we have a lot of food deserts.
Yep, food deserts. And then the receipts of where it goes. So if you think of the tech sector, you may be working in Ohio, but you're selling your software to someone in California.
Right.
That receipt doesn't count.
Oh, wow.
So in essence, it almost excludes all the tech sector.
Wow.
And then, add that into
that's why they're moving here.
Yep. Data centers. The parent company is selling a product, which is that data that's housed here in Ohio that they're just going through and destroying our natural environment for. Are those receipts going to Ohio? No, they're not, So yeah, we are not taxing our corporations correctly, and it's falling onto the people, and everybody's sitting here like, why is our cost of living going up? Property taxes just reached a breaking point. And I laugh because our legislators, they let it get so bad that, we are at that breaking point in taxes, and then they decide to do something during an election year.
Right.
You know, it's just so
Right.
shallow and deceitful.
Now, why do you think a lot of people aren't aware of these issues, right? Like you have so many working class folks all over the state of Ohio, and it seems to be that folks keep voting for these people who are creating these laws and policies. Why isn't the information reaching people? Why are they able to get away with it? What are some of your thought processes on, how they've been able to keep up the corruption at the state house and in the state for so long?
So I really think it comes down to the two-party system and how they control the media.
Hmm.
We use SB 56. In the media, all they ever advertised was gas station hemp and beverages, right? That was the add-on to SB
Hmm.
56. That was the
Right.
last minute thing they put on it. SB 56 was about continuing the oppressive behavior that Ohio politicians use against its citizens.
Right.
The same thing. It's about media spin, media control. Um, there are people out there that are raising their voice. There are other parties that want to come to Ohio but are really struggling. And sadly, the Democrats sponsored a bill that really hinders that, and that's the ranked choice voting bill. Like they made it
Hmm.
illegal to do ranked choice voting in Ohio, and that's one thing that would have opened it up to other parties coming in. But neither party wants that.
Of course, because
They
they're
want.
both paid off by big corporations, right?
Yep,
Big pack money,
yep,
and that's obviously Ohio is a center point for a lot of, like you said, business, right? It's business friendly, so you got logistics, you have tons of commerce, you have obviously the agriculture industry. So there's just so many different types of factories, warehouses, and types of gigs in the state where the business infrastructure really controls everything, right? Because then the businesses say, well, we're employing people, right? And then those people that they're employing typically pay a higher tax rate than the CEOs of the company,
yep,
right?
yeah.
And so it's for me, and again, being an outsider and coming here and understanding, I realized that cannabis really sat at the intersection of a lot of our social issues, right? Because again, when you look at over the last 6 decades, when the war on drugs really began to ravage our communities after the civil rights movement, after Jim Crow, all these things, all these social issues, and then you put the war on drugs, right? You put the crack epidemic and all these things. And now we're at this point where it's like, oh no, how did we reach this point? And that's why we spent trillions of dollars, on disenfranchised communities and ensuring that those communities were disenfranchised perpetually, and doing, like you said, marketing campaigns, using government, infrastructure to create the private prison industry, and all these different things. So again, what now that we are here with SB 56 and a lot of the things that you're seeing in Ohio, what are some of your ideas to kind of fix those things, or bring some ease to people in your district? What's some of your thoughts and ideas?
So I do want to circle back on something with SB 56 because I know you've said it in your videos, and
Yeah.
people need to understand that SB 56, as a white person, is going to be applied to me drastically different than a minority or anyone in an underserved community,
Mm.
because cops lost their ability to harass people, with the passage of issue 2. But
Right.
now with public consumption, gifting, which is passing a joint, or anything else, they can go back to then harassing those groups that they're no longer able to target, which
Mhm.
is going to be in the minority community. No one's going to drive up into New Albany and ask somebody if they're giving their home grow to somebody. That's not
Right.
going to happen.
Right.
So it
Well,
is
and
going to be,
again, home ownership, right? Like, so when
yeah,
you say, well, it's illegal to publicly consume, you give discrimination to landlords if you're growing and consuming in your house. You can't consume in your car, even if it's parked, even if you're in the passenger seat. So again, when we live in a house burden, like people don't own, those same people, like, where are they supposed to go to now consume? If you consume at your house, you get evicted. Now that's on your report. Now you can't get another home, or you get drug tested at your job randomly.
yeah,
Now they fire you. Now you don't get unemployment benefits, right? You're targeting a specific group of people where white people that have money, that have families, connections, live in the suburbs, drive a nice car, they're going to be perfectly fine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if you discriminate against them, they're going to cuss you out and say, well, I'm going to talk to my lawyer. You know what I mean? And so
Yep.
I that's why I've tried to drive this home to a lot of people. And again, there's tons of people on the internet. Well, this won't affect me. Well, of course, it's not going to affect everybody, right?
Yep.
Of course, you might be able to drive up to Michigan and come back with a pound and nobody bats an eye because you look the part.
Yep.
And so that's one thing that I've really tried to hone in on, because that's why social equity was so big and so important in the start of the cannabis industry, right? And ownership and equity and actual stake in the industry. So yeah, I appreciate you stopping me and going in on that, because I feel like that's
Yep.
very important.
And another thing that I think people need to know. So, looking at my campaign, one of the things that I really want to start implementing at the state house is radical transparency, because they're doing everything in their power. There's even bills out there now to stop FOIA requests, but
Mm-hmm.
they're doing everything in their power to hide. They passed something in the budget bill that says they don't have to disclose their emails for 2 years.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
public
entire
records
term.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. It's the entire term of a House person. So we need transparency in our legislators. There's no reason why we shouldn't have legislative transparency and
Mm-hmm.
also access to their communication transparency. It's easy to do. There's no cost to it. Same thing, going to transparency, back to SB 56 a little bit. And I saw you post on Threads about politicians who voted yes on 56. And one thing that's really bothering me, and people need to be aware of it, is the Democrats all saying that they did not support SB 56 because they're trying to hide an October 22nd vote. And
Mm-hmm.
that they need to come out and say why they did it. And they did it to save party seats. It was a trade off.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sacrifice the will of the voters to save
Mm-hmm.
party seats. But what they're trying to do now is deceive the public. And I have an issue with that.
For
On
sure.
October 22nd, the bill changed between the final and October 22nd. But on October 22nd, it did away with social equity. It
Mm-hmm.
removed market access for almost all Ohioans. It recriminalized cannabis. It removed patient protections.
Mm-hmm.
And they voted yes on it then. So I'd
Yep.
like for them, if they're going to say they voted no, what changed in your mind that made you want to vote no the second time around? Like, you traded our votes, own it, and admit to it. You know?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, and I posted that, like you said, on Threads, and there was a Democratic candidate who I believe is in a predominantly black community who said, "Yeah, I voted yes, but then the bill changed and I voted no." I say, well, at the end of the day, it's on public record, right? Like, I
Yeah,
just took a screenshot. Don't come at me. I
yeah,
literally took a screenshot from the state government's page that had your name as a sponsor, co-sponsor of this bill. That's on
yeah,
the front page. Don't
yep,
shoot the messenger. And so, but because I mean, I've been in Columbus for a few years now, and it's like, one, there is such a target on young black men that have consumed cannabis, right, for so long. And we lack the economics, we lack the educational investment, we lack the environmental justice, we lack all these different things. And it's like, well, we lack healthcare, access to healthcare. And it's like most black men are trying to heal themselves, right, through cannabis. That's the one thing we find that really, helps mellow us out. But whole time, our own community oftentimes antagonizes us and attacks us on top of the white Christian or white dominant infrastructure. And it's like, we just try to smoke. We not the real growers of the weed. You know what I mean? Like, we may make it popular through our music, through sports, through culture, fashion, but we're not the growers. We're really not the big distributors. We're really just the consumers, right? It's just like Nike. We don't own Nike. We just make it look good, right? And so I think, for me, that was a real issue that I had with that as well. So thank you for bringing that up, because again, the Democratic Party, when they say, well, we want all these things, but the whole time you're not supporting something that, one, a lot of people in Franklin County and then state of Ohio are locked up for, you
yep,
know, minor cannabis offenses that end up turning in and snowballing into something else, right? And can destroy a community and a family. So those are some of the biggest things. I'm like, how are you going to take out social equity? All of that money, 36% now goes back to the general revenue fund for them to do whatever they want to do with it, is insane.
yep. And then, even current politicians. So when the referendum was happening, we were begging Democrats to help come out and support this. I reached out to Amy Acton myself. Other people did. Nothing, crickets. And my theory is this: the Democrats during the referendum were like, look, if it passes, we win. But if it
Right.
fails, we can campaign on this all year. And I told
Mm,
people, I was like, watch what happens. And the day or two after it failed, Amy Acton then came out and said, I would have stood with the will of the voters. You could have stopped it, Amy. You could
right.
have stopped it. Like, where were you? And I hate that side of politics where people are just like, in essence, kind of fingers crossed. If the referendum fails, we can campaign on this. This is
Mhm,
people's lives that you're messing with,
mhm.
entire
Yeah.
livelihoods. Like, that's not right.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because what I've realized being in the media, is that obviously your mainstream media isn't covering a lot of the deeper issues, right? It's a lot of surface issues. So when you look at cannabis, it's such a controversial topic politically.
Mhm.
And a lot of our politicians, they're too highfalutin and snooty to even understand what cannabis truly is, right? Like when the political scene thinks about cannabis, all they think about is people walking around smoking joints and it's smelling like skunk. But they're not looking at the healthcare aspects. They're not looking at the economic aspects. They're not looking at healing and community healing. They're not looking at agriculture, right? There's all these different things, and the mainstream media has attacked the culture of just consuming cannabis that way, that it just dominates the thought processes, I believe, of the party. And they don't know how to market around it. They don't know how to talk about it, but they refuse to come to the people who are actively trying to do it, right? They
Yep.
refuse to engage with community members. I've invited a few people to the social equity event, so we'll see. I think I've invited some city council members from Columbus and some state representatives, state senators. So we'll see who shows up. But obviously, we've had the lobby days and at the state house, and politicians haven't shown up, and they're seen walking around the building, Matt Huffman and Stephen Huffman and guys like that. So let the people know, like, what are some of the things that you, in terms of cannabis or like the regulations, some things that you would have, that you would bring to the state to improve the current legislation?
Yep. There is one politician that did show up at the town hall, though, Ishmael Muhammad. He did.
Yes.
He was there. Um, so there's a bill coming up, House Bill 611, which gives licenses to cultivate to standalone processors. So I am going to testify on that one as an
Hmm.
interested party. And I have two amendments to that, because what it does is it dates saying if you're a licensed independent processor, standalone processor,
Hmm.
prior to 2023, you can now get a cultivation license. But it's really forcing them to get a cultivation license or die.
Hmm.
That's really what it
Hmm.
is. Like, your business will not survive if you don't do this. But if they
Right.
take away that date, that's Amendment 1, and let any standalone then cultivate, but open up micro licensing, which was supposed to be, and what they killed was Senate Bill 56, but open up
Right.
micro licensing, let's call it under 3,000 square feet,
Hmm.
and dictate as part of the license that they must sell their product only to a standalone processor. That fixed the market for standalone, so now they have actual good product instead of some of the stuff that we're seeing in the state of Ohio. So they have
Right.
good product coming in. It's going to bring back, without calling it social equity, it's going to bring back the social
Right.
equity aspect of it. They won't do it, but I think we should broadcast it as loud as we can that this is something that we want in there, and maybe they'll eventually listen to us. It is an
Right.
election year, so maybe.
For
So
sure. Yeah. And what I mean,
we
you're
have
a old. Go ahead.
we have I call it an oligopoly because it is, but really, we'll go with Yost's term and say it's a cartel. We have a cartel in Ohio,
Hmm.
and a lot of them don't even consume cannabis. Think about the craziness of that.
Right.
Would you open up and trust someone that opened up a bakery that didn't eat sweets, like,
No.
or even bread? Like, come on,
Right. Right.
that's what's running our industry, and it and they're not great at it, and that's the problem. And so they need to control the market so they can make money, and we need
Right.
to break that down and let the market settle itself out. Yes, look at what happened in Michigan, but businesses are supposed to fail and some will rise to the top. We need
Right.
to let the market work. So,
Right.
and sorry, I
For
cut you
sure.
off a little bit.
No, no, you're fine. You're good. I think it's important that we hear from, obviously people like yourself who are taking the chance to use their voice, use their platform, and educate the community on different aspects of what's going on. Because, I feel like we're in just such a tense time where it's either one way or the other, right? it's
Yep.
so it's refreshing to see and hear somebody like yourself who's actively taking the step. Now, talk to us. Like, I'm not really familiar with No Kings. Can you educate me and the YouTube world, Facebook too? So, in the Ohio Cannabis Report community, on what No Kings is and what the purpose is of No Kings.
It's just really talking about the tyranny that we have in our government. Because right now we have a president who's pretty much a dictator. He's trying to be a
Hmm.
king of the U.S. So it's really saying no kings. We need to bring democracy back, both at the state and the federal level,
Hmm.
and really fight that. Like the people, all of these politicians are supposed to work for us. They're supposed to
Hmm.
represent us,
Right.
um, and we're always forced between two extremes. But you either all the way over here on the left or all the way over here on the right. Here's the thing, though: the majority of Americans, I got a number, so 44% of Americans actually sit in the center.
Right.
All right, and then there's a little bit right and a little bit left. The far
Hmm.
extremes is like a 7 and a 9% of the
Right.
population. That's who they cater to, and then as voters, we have to then pick between those two. So no kings is just it's it's a protest of all the protests. So you had people out there protesting the Iran war, people out there protesting Donald Trump, people out there protesting the two-party system. I think the best line that I like is it's not red versus blue, it's
Hmm.
billionaires versus you, and that
Hmm.
is that is the most accurate, probably way to represent our current democracy, both at the state and federal level.
Yeah. And do you think that's working, or what are some things that we can do to improve? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think it's really looking at putting forward more independent candidates, more libertarian and other third party candidates, and
Hmm.
actually voting for them. The cannabis community, especially, and I'm not. Let's take community out of this. So, pro cannabis individuals
Hmm.
have a stronger voice than almost any other demographic in the state. So, 57% of Ohio voted pro cannabis. So, let me throw some weird numbers out there for you. So, taking that 57%, let's just use 1,000 because that's an even easy number to do math on.
Hmm.
So let's say 60% of that 57%
Hmm.
voted for, let's say, like Don Kissick, who's a libertarian, who's pro cannabis
Hmm.
governor. That would get him 342 votes.
Hmm.
If Ramaswamy, who no one likes, but let's say he got 75% of the
Hmm.
43 that didn't vote, that'd put him at like 300 some change. And then if
Hmm.
we gave all the rest to Amy Acton, that'd put her at 335, which means Don Kissick, a libertarian, could
Hmm.
win the governorship if the people that are pro cannabis align behind a pro cannabis candidate.
Mm.
So I think people need to stop thinking red versus blue. There's a lot of independents this year. There's a lot of
Mhm.
libertarians this year, and let's vote in people that might actually stand up for you, and
Mhm.
not just trying to check that red versus blue box.
Yeah. What are some ways we can get connected to some of these politicians? Because I feel like Ohio is one of those states where if you are independent, obviously it's harder to campaign more broadly. You have to be more strategic.
Yep.
How do we hear from some of these? I mean, in this world of technology, in this world of social media, in this world of like the chaos going on in the world, like how do we hear about some of these people? How do we connect? How do we get their voices to be louder? What are some of your ideas on really engaging with these people?
So follow other candidates on social media, like Libertarian Party of Ohio. They do have a Facebook. They're probably not
Okay.
the greatest at social media. We're going to start seeing a lot more campaigning after May because that's the primaries.
Okay.
All independent candidates have until May to even get on the ballot. So, like for me, I'm technically not on the ballot yet.
Okay.
So, still collecting signatures in my area, but also support those signature gatherers in your area if they're out there trying to get on the ballot. I've had
Hmm.
a couple people tell me I'll never vote independent because it takes away votes from like Democrat. That really is the most undemocratic thing you could say. Anyone, I don't, with the exception of maybe like a white supremacist, I don't care
Right.
who you are. I will sign your petition. You deserve to be on the ballot if you want to be. You know,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
It,
think
it,
I think too, we just have a gross ignorance of what politics is and how it actually works, right? It's like you have the federal government, obviously, you have state level, you have city level, you have the county, but I don't, especially in a state like Ohio where our educational levels is not the highest, right? So there's a huge ignorance gap in how politics even works on the state level, city level. So I think we have to do a better job at educating,
yes.
our communities, especially our urban and rural communities. Your rich suburban communities know exactly how politics works, right? They know
Yep.
exactly who they're voting for the school board, for county treasurer. But it's in those communities where, again, people don't own homes. They may not live long there. Low incomes, maybe government assistance. And so there's a lot of that, I feel like, in Ohio, where people just disengaged, right? If you don't feel like your vote matters, especially with SB 56, everybody's on the internet. Well, we voted for this, and now the politicians chose to go the other way. Can you talk about that? Like, talk about how they were able to do that with SB 56, since you were so involved.
Yeah, it's just well, frankly, they were paid to do that because all the things they took away would have lowered the revenue from some of the large cannabis companies. They couldn't have that, so they paid and they lobbied our legislators, and our legislators know that they're it wouldn't affect them in the long run. And Ohio's known to be a corrupt state, so I'm not saying they took bribes. I'm just saying that when you do things against the will of the voter, there's usually a good reason behind it. No one knows what that is except for you were lobbied.
Right.
Um, to your point though about the politics, there's a lot of people I meet have no idea who their representative is, and they're like, who are you even running against?
Right.
But it's hard when a vast majority of people aren't working a single job; they're working two, three
Yeah, two,
jobs,
three,
gig.
yeah.
That's one thing too. Is I'm going to throw a number out here. What if I told you minimum wage should be like $21 in the state of Ohio?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, because the livable wage is actually nationally they're saying, or in Ohio, is $20 and like 24 cents. So you might as well make it 21, so we're above that.
Right.
Everybody freaks out when you say a number like that. But here's the thing: by not paying, for one, it injects more money back into the local economy. Everything
Hmm.
about raising minimum wage is actually a net positive, but
Right.
corporations don't want you to know that
Right.
because they want to keep the large corporations can come in with cheap labor and undercut the mom and pop shops. That's how they
Right.
do it. If minimum wage was raised, they couldn't. And on top of that, as a society, we are actually funding and subsidizing not having a higher minimum wage requirement, because now when you can't make a dignified, meaningful wage, you go on benefits like SNAP and things like
Right.
that because you can't get by. And so as
Right.
a taxpayer, you're subsidizing that. So we're paying
Right.
for it regardless.
Right.
And but that whole to circle back, it's if people weren't working three jobs to get by and to scrape by, maybe they could pay attention a little bit more to some of the politics, but they just don't have the time. And
Right.
so they just get steamrolled by the people who do.
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate you for sharing that, man. Is there anything else that you have that you would like to share with the community, or people in Ohio?
Um, just yeah, this year, just make sure you're going out and you're voting for someone that is actually going to stand up and represent you. Um, if there's an independent, look at them, examine them. I'm not saying uh, don't vote Democrat, don't vote Republican. What I'm saying is vote for someone who stands on their record, and just know that there's only 8 people in the entire House of Representatives who stood by and did not vote for Senate Bill 56. And I don't have the entire list of names in front of me right now, but there was 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats. So when everybody says it's all red, that's not the case. I know Desiree Timms was one that stood by, so she's one of the ethical 8. Ismail Muhammad, DJ Swearingen, and there's a few more.
Hmm.
But yeah, make sure that you are voting for candidates who will stand up for you and not sell your vote out for a party.
Love it. And how can people find you and support you in your campaign?
So Mike Smith for Ohio.com has all my socials, everything on that. You can go out there, you can volunteer. I need all the help I can get because as an independent, everything's stacked against you, as well as donate. Also, fun fact a lot of people don't realize in Ohio, it is a two-party system codified into law, which we need to change. So as a Democrat or a Republican, you need like 20 or 25 votes to get on the ballot, something ridiculously small. I
Okay.
need 340, but I rounded up because they're going to kill a bunch of them. So I need like 900 signatures to get on the ballot. So it's everything is stacked against any candidate coming in that's not one of those two parties, and we need to change that at the state level.
For sure. Well, we appreciate you, Mike, for all that you're doing, your advocacy work, and using your platform and voice and speaking up. Obviously, we wish you great luck in the upcoming race, and we look forward to seeing you at the social equity event.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Good conversation, and actually, I need to talk with Tasha when we're there because I thought she was going to run this year. She said she would make a great legislator. She really
For
would. I'm
sure.
not sure why she didn't run.
Well,
So
and that's something too. I think we need more people willing to run, right, and feeling supported and encouraged to run, even in because I think one of the things too, like even if you don't win, right, it's the courage, it's the putting the effort forward, to show that there is, the will to do something different, right? To challenge the status quo in the system. So,
Yeah.
whatever happens, man, we appreciate you and keep educating the community.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Yep.
And that's Mike Smith. As you can see, he's running for state representative in Ohio. Again, we always love to support our local community and people who support us. Mike has been a huge advocate at the State House for the last few years when it comes to speaking up against SB 56. And that's why we've had him on. Like I said, he was the first social equity sponsor for the forum that we're hosting April 4th. We got a few more tickets. This is a free event. I just asked that you RSVP. But shout out to Mike for being the first social equity sponsor. ACLU Ohio is our second social equity sponsor. And then we have a few community sponsors. This is the first event that Ohio Cannabis Report is organizing, I would say, in person since COVID ended. So again, it's a small event. If you're in the Columbus area and you want to just connect with like-minded individuals, grassroots, home growers, craft growers, small business owners, entrepreneurs, advocates, politicians, people who are running for office, it'll be a great place to just connect with different people in the community and talk about, things that we like to talk about, cannabis, but in a political way, right? In a more communal way, not just, oh, let's go smoke, let's go, smell a bunch of weed. No, this is actually a conversation and a forum to really get people's thoughts and ideas and opinions and collaboration and be able to move forward as a city and as a state. So again, we appreciate everybody who is signed up and RSVP to the Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum. I look forward to meeting everybody and connecting. This is not something that I envisioned myself doing either, but I saw an opportunity. I saw, a gap in the conversation and I decided to do something about it. So same way, this is how Ohio Cannabis Report started, right? Like I don't have a bunch of funding or support, you know what I mean? I'm using the free StreamYard, YouTube, Facebook, straight organic. I met Mike organically by going up to the State House, advocating and just connecting via the internet. But I think, more of us need to be able to just connect and try to find different ways to relate in such, toxic times in our society. So again, thanks, Mike, for coming on, and we appreciate you. Thanks for everybody that is viewing so far on Facebook and YouTube. Let's see, competition in Michigan is tough. The retail footprint need to be widespread. Most communities opt out of sales. The main reason for the huge glut of cannabis on the market, right? And that's something here in Ohio as well, right? We still have a lot of communities that have moratoriums against cannabis. Typically more of your suburban communities, and so that's also a huge issue in our state as well. When it comes, and we're not oversaturated right now either, right? We only have, I think, 200 dispensaries in the state. Columbus has the most, I believe, 20 in the state. Then you obviously have Cuyahoga County, Cleveland, and Cincinnati area, which are going to have, a good amount. And so, with 11.8 million people, you have obviously the region closer to Michigan where a lot of people, there's not a lot of dispensaries up in that area. So again, a lot of people from our state are traveling to Michigan, 2, 3, 4 times a year, 5 times a year to make purchases. So again, and people are going in groups, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So I think it's important that, we really understand politically what's going on, right? And don't just spend your money. Like a lot of people spend money and don't think about the taxes. All right, yeah, you're traveling, but you're still spending money on your car. You're still spending gas money, right? You still gonna need new brakes, new tires, oil change. So they go like, you think you spending less money on the tree, but Ohio getting you somewhere else. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's important to understand state politics. Because again, if you're gonna live in the state, why wouldn't you want your cannabis industry, one, to have the tax money and tax revenue go back directly into your state and your community? But then also you want jobs, you want quality cannabis, right? If you're gonna go, oh, Ohio's weed is trash, so I'm gonna just go up to Michigan, it's cheaper and it's better. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of that too, right? It's a lot of people that are like just, and so obviously it's just a selfish mindset of a lot of people too, where it's like, I live in Columbus. I'm not about to drive 3 hours, 4 hours, you know what I mean, back and forth just to go to Michigan a couple times. You know what I mean? Like when I could support local growers, I could support the homies, you know what I mean? I would love to support local dispensaries if I knew the tax money and tax revenue was going directly into the community, but it's not. If I knew the business owners were local entrepreneurs and they had an agenda to support the local communities with their tax revenue, but it's not, right? You have a lot of multi-state operators. You have, a bunch of millionaires that don't even live in the community that their dispensary is located. And so they don't really have an incentive to truly invest well in those communities that they're making money in. So I think that's, obviously, like Mike said, a lot of people are working 2, 3, 4 jobs, which, doesn't give a lot of people a lot of time to be engaged or aware of even what's going on at the state level. So that's why we do what we do here at Ohio Cannabis Report. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate everybody showing love. I appreciate everybody that has RSVP'd again to the event. And we will, let me see if there's some new news. Obviously, a lot of people are waking up to SB 56 and realizing what's going on. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be like, well, shit, I've been smoking weed this whole time when it was illegal, so I don't care. You know what I mean? I get it. I'm never here to tell people what to do, how to do it. I'm just here to deliver a message in the news in a more cultured and authentic way. You know what I mean? So don't shoot the messenger. You know what I mean? Again, like I said, when Mike was on, I had a candidate on Threads. Like I posted some content on Threads and I'm just like, it's public information. Like, I don't know what, like, these politicians act like we can't see it. You know what I mean? Like, that's your name. Like, I didn't put your name there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not no hacker or nothing like that. You know what I mean? So what was wild to me is like, don't come on my page talk about something. Well, I voted for it, but then the bill changed and I didn't vote for it. Like, nah, the bill was terrible from the inception of the fucking bill. As soon as they put SB 56 and started running it through the House and the Senate, it was trash. They should have never introduced the bill. That's my thought process, right? So you voted on something that it wasn't good from the start, but you voted for it. I don't care whether you switch the vote up or not. People in your community use this substance for a lot of different reasons. And we can't own, control, nothing. But then you're going to get mad at me because you look crazy. You look crazy. Not me. I'm not a politician. I may be a public figure. I may be married to a public figure. But at the end of the day, I'm not no politician. You know what I mean? And I don't even want to be a public figure. The only reason I'm a public figure is because I was good in football. And now I'm married to a news anchor. That's the only reason. I don't want to be. I don't speak for nobody. I speak for myself. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like it, you should have voted different. That shit had me like, and I be trying to be respectful, you know what I mean? Because I don't really want no smoke with nobody. Like, I'm not really here to cause no smoke. But weed is one of them things, like, I'm just like, it's just been too much hate. There's too much hate around the weed. You know what I mean? And people that consume the weed. And I don't like it. And I'm going to speak up about it because I can. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people can't really speak publicly like this because, they job, oh, I'm going to get fired. Oh, my job, like the church. I don't care. Like, if you don't rock with me, turn the channel, block me, delete. It's that easy. Like, you don't have to subscribe to nothing. That's all I'm going to say. You don't have to subscribe. Turn the channel. If I lied, call me out on it. If I made a mistake, call me out on it. Hold me accountable. But also make sure you hold the politicians as accountable as you hold me, because these motherfuckers is corrupt as fuck. And I can't affect how much money you make, don't make, how much taxes you pay, don't pay. Don't watch me. Like, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be watching me anyway. You got to go get some more money. I was at the governor's house yesterday. I don't have no affiliation with the governor, the Republican Party. You know what I mean? My father, I was there on the behalf of my son. who was stillborn, and we have a stillbirth nonprofit where I'm the dad. I was there on the behalf of my father-in-law, getting intel. It was interesting. You know what I mean? I came home and took a nap though, because all of that politicking, shaking hands, kissing babies. I was on daddy duty though, for real. I was watching my kids petting bunnies and shit. But it was interesting, you know what I mean? Shout out to DeWine, you know what I mean? We had some black folks up in that thing. This was interesting too, though. My father-in-law, he's in his 60s, and he grew up in Columbus, and he was like, when I was younger, we could never come over into Bexley. And I was like, I know, because I only been in Ohio for 15 years. I've been in Columbus 8, and I seen all the smoke they had for me when I said Bexley was Jewish money, and they tried to call me anti-Semitic. So I said, shit, I've been talking that shit here. So, when he said that, he was like, I wasn't able to come over here when I was a kid because obviously the racism and stuff going on. He was born in inner city. So obviously him being older and being able to bring his wife and kids and grandkids to the governor's mansion, I imagine was a huge accomplishment for him. So, I decided to engage in the festivities of what was going on at the governor's mansion. So that's one thing I could check off my list. You know what I mean? I've been to the governor's mansion. People keep saying people want me to run for office. I'm not doing it. I know doing it, not me. I like this side of things. As politicians, you know what I mean? You can't be a comedian. You got to be, and they be fucking shit up. You know what I mean? You ain't about to, nope. You ain't about to blame me for shit. Not me, not I. Let me see. So, that's a good article. Boop, boop, boop. Make sure y'all tap the screen, man. Give me some likes. Give me some comments. Let me know where y'all tapping in from. How y'all doing? I'm trying to get better at the whole engagement stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff is still all new to me. Going live and talking to people I don't know, talking to a screen, talking to myself. But I see y'all there. You know what I mean? Make sure y'all show me some love. What it do? You got to be a crook. You got to be a crook to be a politician. Straight up, bro, for sure. And I mean, that's just America too. I mean, business owners. I mean, everybody low key. The whole system of capitalism is smoke and mirrors, right? Like, it's, you look at how they market and advertise products and services, right? Look how they market and advertise beer, or pills, or drugs, right? And then, in small fine print, they're gonna speak something real fast. This could fuck your life up, right? This could, give you this disease. This could kill you, but it's gonna help you with this. But weed ain't killing nobody, right? But we can't control it. We can't monetize it like that. So yeah, I get you. And we're in a new day and age too. I think we just have to. It takes courage, to move into this new age, this new frontier of what this is. I think some people do have good intentions, but once you get into politics, the problem with politics is a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm getting into politics." You know what I mean? To be a public servant. And it's like, no, you're not. You're getting in this for a career play, right? The majority of people, right? Especially when you look at how, if you're there, why aren't you advocating for specific groups of people, right? If you're there, why are you so, so content on just trying to do whatever you can do to stay in position, right? It's like, nah, get your ass out of the position, out of office. Like, all these old people, all these boomers gotta go. Like, I'm a millennial. Like, I might run for office just to get the boomers out. You know what I mean? Because that shit gotta go. Like, don't be telling me, oh, well, my kids know that my cannabis is my medicine, right? Like, let's say my pen falls out. Let's say I'm doing crunches or something on the floor. My pen falls out of my pocket. My daughter knows, hey, daddy, this is your medicine. And you give me my medicine. Like, you have to talk to the problem is y'all don't talk to your kids. Y'all not raising y'all kids. right? A lot of people just have kids and send them on about their way. Oh, the school system's supposed to educate them. The world gonna educate them. Like, no, I legit sit my kids down and we look at weed and we talk about it. This is a plant. Some people use this medicinally. Some people use it recreationally. Daddy uses it medicinally because guess what? Daddy deals with a lot of pain, right? Daddy played football for damn near 15, 20 years. So my ankles hurt, my neck hurts, right? Like I have various issues. Y'all want me to run around, play, jump, have a good time, have a good personality. But guess what? Without the weed, I'm not really that pleasant to be around. With the weed, oh, best dad in the world. You know what I mean? So, but I don't like pills, right? And I don't drink like that. So, and I don't do other substances like that. Like my personality is already good with it the way it is. So, but yeah, the political thing, I run on a pure cannabis mission. All the other bullshit, like I can't deal with everybody else. You know what I mean? All these other issues, like I don't care who you humping on, when the lights turn on, I don't care about all that shit. I don't care what you want to do over it. Like, do you, boo? Like, but you gonna free me and my people for some weed, bro. Let me see. Mike, I hit the THC vape at the governor mansion on the garden trail. Couldn't resist. Me too. I hit it right in front of the house. And then I went back in the garden. It was a kid-friendly event, so I had to be very, very smart. Didn't want to smack the kids, you know. It was a good time though. I'm from Ohio, so I know this, man. They want that money. They want that money. Every time they want that money, 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 money. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. Ray Rollins is all about the fucking money. Spread the money around, all right? Like it's damn. Spread the resources. Spread the infrastructure. Yeah. All right. I got one article for y'all, and then I gotta get ready to go. We got football today. Ohio breweries push lawmakers to override governor's veto that banned hemp THC drinks last week. The coalition of Ohio breweries are rallying residents to put pressure on their lawmakers to override the governor and give businesses until the end of the year to keep selling hemp-derived THC beverages, as the legislature intended when they delivered a cannabis bill to his desk. While the House and Senate passed legislation last year to effectively ban the consumable cannabinoid market, it was sent to Governor DeWine's Mike DeWine, Republican, with language that would have carved out a temporary exemption for hemp beverages, making it so that those products could continue to be sold through the end of 2026. But when the governor signed SB 56, which also places new restrictions on the state voters' voter-approved marijuana law, he used his power to line item veto the cannabis drinks provision. Consequently, all hemp THC products, including beverages, are unlawful to market in Ohio as of last week. Now, breweries across the state, including those that incorporated hemp drinks into their menu, are hoping to get lawmakers to override the veto. Quote, we've been working with our politicians over the past few months and thought we had a really good, solid bill that was safe, that was endorsed by many on both sides of the aisle. And unfortunately, that went to veto by the governor. Brent Zimmerman, CEO of Saucy Brewworks, said in a video on Tuesday, so I'm here today pleading that you all can help us. Saucy is one of the 8 Ohio breweries that are organizing the campaign to keep hemp beverages on the market as the legislature intended. And so far, the businesses have seen an outpouring of public support, with thousands using an online form that sends a message to their own lawmakers, as well as the House Speaker and Senate President, urging them to restore THC protections, including in SB 56. Quote, we expected strong support, but the response from Ohioans has exceeded every expectation, Zimmer said in a press release, surpassing 6,000 supporters in less than 24 hours. Shows just how important this issue is, not only for our industry, but for consumers across the state who want safe, regulated access. But the prospects of a veto override are uncertain, with House Speaker Matt Huffman, Republican, telling Cleveland.com that, quote, we have to have 60 people do that in our caucus, end quote. In an informal whip count puts the current number of likely yes votes to override around 30. So I don't think that it would likely happen in the House. But, we really wouldn't do serious consideration unless the Senate did that, he added. While reversing the veto itself would only push back the timeline until hemp beverages would be banned, the delay could give stakeholders more time to work with the legislature to develop a long term solution that regulates rather than outright prohibits THC drinks. Whether there's an appetite among lawmakers to make the additional step is unclear. They don't. They don't give a fuck. Another consideration for hemp businesses and state legislators is how Ohio's hemp market could be impacted by federal policy change set to take effect in November that would redefine the crop in a way that stakeholders say would effectively eliminate the marketplace. Several states has preemptively enacted hemp bans in response, though there are also efforts in Congress to delay the pending federal recriminalization of hemp THC products. Back in Ohio, an attempt to put a referendum on the ballot to block restrictive marijuana and hemp laws enacted under SB 56 failed to gather enough signatures by the deadline earlier this month. State officials have also recently defended the governor's line item veto on hemp beverages after a brewer filed a lawsuit challenging this policy. The governor separately stirred controversy last month after telling critics of law rolling back the state's marijuana market and criminalizing intoxicating hemp products to stop, quote, whining, end quote, and instead be happy with their victory at the polls, end quote. When the governor said that, quote, proponents, end quote, of the referendum should take the win and accept the policy changes that are being implemented under 56. He wasn't necessarily referring to the broader marijuana industry, as many stakeholders support reining in the consumable hemp market. In September, the Ohio Department of Cannabis Control, DCC, filed proposed rules to build upon the state's marijuana legalization law, laying out a plan to update regulations on labeling and packaging requirements. Ohio retailers sold more than $1 billion worth of legal marijuana products in 2025, according to data from the State Department of Commerce, DCC. Last March, a survey of 38 municipalities by the Ohio State University Morris College of Law found that local leaders were unequivocally opposed to earlier proposals that would have stripped the funding or the planned funding. Meanwhile, in Ohio, adults as of June are able to buy more than double the amount of marijuana than they were under previous limits, with state officials determining that the market can sustainably supply both medical cannabis patients and adult consumers. Article by Kyle Yeager of Marijuana Moment. So yeah, Ohio being Ohio, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let me see. I don't want the money to the politicians do. I support the breweries on that, but it still leaves all the other horrible things in SB 56 for sure. Yeah, it's only, and those are again small business owners, right? Like those breweries are small business owners, so they have an incentive, right? Like the alcohol sales, beer sales, liquor sales are down. So they need, if they want to keep their businesses, right, they need something. And obviously brewing or making, THC beverages and selling them, was obviously probably keeping some of them afloat. So, and from day one, we have been fighting SB 56 and never even had hemp till last year. Yeah, and where were these people the whole time? Right, outside of App Girls Cannabis, folks, like where were all these hemp beverage companies, breweries a year ago? You know what I mean? A year and a half ago. Like that's what really irks me about Ohio. Like where were y'all a year and a half ago when they were literally making this bill? What I was saying is the governor is all about the money, money, money. Oh, for sure, yeah. Anybody in power, right? Anybody in the top 1%, like it's capitalism. You need the money to survive, right? Our electricity bills is going up. Not me. I'm definitely not about the money. I'm about family and kids, taking care of my neighbors. Just wanted to make that clear. Come on, bro. No. You're good. You good. We need more of that. Being that is absolutely harmless, and I believe 83% of people voted for it should be criminalized. Come on, people. Yeah, we gotta wake the people up. You gotta wake the people up, man. What's up, guys? What's good? Dan the Canna Man. I think we should also be advocating for cannabis consumption lounges at this stage as well. Yeah, people need places to consume, right? We need safe spaces for sure. Since they want to limit where you can consume, we should be able to cultivate safe spaces for sure. And I mean, it starts underground. I think, at this point, they're kind of forcing people to be underground. So again, we just have to have people with courage enough, small businesses, to allow us to come to their spaces. I know Clintonville has a nice spot that allows us to consume safely in a low key manner. So might have to bring some consumption dates back to consume. Shout out to Dan too. Also, I agree with that. Big pharma, big alcohol. They make no room for small businesses. They purposely go after them. I'm sure the governor got paid real. Yep. It's all that. Same with the food industry. Same with the pharmaceutical industry. Big agriculture. It's all a fight against the people, right? And so, again, it's a fight against the classes, haves versus the have-nots. At some point, you got to put down your social issues and all your things that folks are fighting about. And what's more important, you know what I mean? Community access and resources and opportunity and safe spaces and, or, one man's agenda. The top of the food chain looked like one person, you know what I mean? Old white dude. Yeah, I mean, like old white. You don't know if he gay, straight. He just angry. He just mad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they beef is. Like, them niggas need to all just go to Florida. You know what I mean? And do what they do. Like, get out of the politics, bro. But I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. I got to head out. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on all the social media platforms. Let me see. We got some more. Speak up at your city council. Let me see. I got Dan. Speak up at. Oh, shout out to Ohio Cannabis Report. Appreciate you, Dan, as always. Speak up at your city council meetings. Schedule meetings with your city local prosecutors, mayors, representatives. Yeah, you have to use your privilege, right? You have to use what you have, right? Get involved where you can, right? I understand that it's tough. People have jobs. People have families. People have, ailments and illnesses. But if you're on the computer, right? If you have a cell phone, you can look up the information, email your city council, right? Request a meeting. You can get on Zoom. You can get on all different types of platforms to engage with your political, folks that are making the decisions in your city and your state. But you have to be actively involved. Thanks again for doing what you're doing. I'll spread the word. We need representation, thinking about running. Yep, I appreciate you for tuning in, laughing. My dog, Dan the Canna Man, he's orange now. Nah, he white. Because white people are y'all white. Nope. Y'all gotta claim that shit. Y'all gotta claim it. Y'all put him in there twice. You gotta own it, baby. Because people was telling y'all not to do it. Like, a lot of y'all wasn't loud about going against him, and I get it. But shit, and I know people was like, well, Kamala, look, you're fired, guy, or this, like, you're fired. Like, he done fired everybody. Look. And the fact that he's still in office, he's a pedophile. He protecting pedophiles. If that was Obama, bro, y'all would have lynched him on the White House lawn. And I'm gonna leave it at that. And he wasn't the best either, but the truth is the truth. You know what I mean? Like, shit. His family done got what, $5-10 billion richer? Now we gotta come on, man. Like, people still going to work every day. Like, why ain't people stop going? Stop paying bills. Like, the business, like, stop going to work. Your boss, by a lot of y'all bosses, the people y'all work for and work with, support Trump because, again, like Mike said, in a state like Ohio, you don't got to pay no corporate tax on technology. So you got a tech company. What? Oh my God, they're killing it. I didn't even know that. Let me see. Obama was well spoken. He told the truth and cared. He made mistakes, but he was, yeah, you know what I mean? He looked good. Man, we was looking good under Obama, dog. We look like some straight ass right now. America look like straight cheeks. Talk about some, oh, we're gonna extend the deadline with Iran. Iran fucking y'all up right now. You're bombing mountains in desert area. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Like the media don't want to show nothing because Trump is going to sue us. So our news, like I don't even watch our news. I'm watching Al Jazeera and shit. You know what I mean? We ain't seeing nothing. Iran making contact, fuck the Iron Dome. Boom! Like nigga, what? Stay woke. We out, man. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. RSVP to the event. April 4th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Ground and Grind, Columbus, Ohio. Eventbrite is where you can RSVP. Again, this is a free event. We do accept donations. We are still looking for a few more social equity and community sponsors because this is just the first event. We're going to do another one. Me and Ohio Cannabis Live, Anthony Riley are putting together an event for a virtual event as well. So, it was just the first one. So make sure you guys follow along. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Substack, all your podcast platforms. We got more podcasts coming soon. So if you have any questions, thoughts, any tips, make sure you email me at ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. And I look forward to connecting with everybody in real life outside the digital world soon. But appreciate y'all. Appreciate the love. Peace. Blessings.